I was always happy with my appearance and never once had any issues with my nose. Since a young age, I was used to being in front of the camera as a model, dancer, and martial artist. Being in that industry, I had to cope with a lot of negative comments about my appearance, but I never let that affect me and was always good at dealing with the criticism. Being English and Turkish Cypriot gave me an advantage with modelling, as my Mediterranean looks kept me busy travelling abroad for photo shoots, and I was regularly published in magazines. I always enjoyed travelling and meeting new people with my job. I also worked as an Audrey Hepburn lookalike. I spent my free time keeping fit and active, with friends, family, and by myself at home. In November 2014, I was unfortunately diagnosed with a severe and rare blood disease. I became very weak and ended up falling one day and breaking my nose. I tried to carry on modelling, but my nose was no longer photogenic. My blood disease was making me lose so much weight that it drew even more attention to my nose. My weight suddenly dropped to 6 stone, and it wasn't long before I lost feeling in my legs and I was no longer able to walk. I used my downtime to research surgeons who could hopefully fix my nose. And once I was a lot healthier, I discovered one in Chester who had some great reviews. I didn't hesitate in booking my surgery, as I really wanted to start my life again. The surgeon explained it was a very simple procedure and he would just have to shave off the bump. He wouldn't even need to break my nose. I woke up in severe pain, and a nurse told me, of course I would be in pain because my nose was broken. I ended up having an infection as well and was given lots of tramadol. I was quite confused as to why my nose was broken, as apparently I was just going to have the bump shaved. Despite all of the complications, I was really looking forward to seeing the results of my new nose. After the tape was removed, I had the most traumatic experience. I noticed my nose was not even sewn together properly. The surgeon told me, "Don't worry, everything is fine. It just needs some time to heal." I tried to be patient and ignore how horrible the stitching looked. Since I really liked the shape, I decided to get back to work. After seeing some of my modelling images, I was in total horror. My nose appeared bent, and the nostril was going in at the side. The initial swelling had obviously masked these flaws. My nose seemed to get worse over time, and then dents appeared all over the place. I ended up really hating the way I looked, and was left feeling so depressed. I couldn't bear being seen out in public, so decided to tape my nose up. The only time I would ever be in a photo is if there was a filter to cover up the way I looked. All I wanted to do was stay in bed. I was so depressed, I couldn't face each day. I kept my nose taped up, so I didn't catch my reflection in the mirror. I decided to go with my mum to visit my family in Turkey, and at the same time, I decided to have a consultation with one of the surgeons my friend recommended. I did not waste any time and booked in my revision surgery. We were taken to the hospital and then had to wait before going into the operating theatre. I was quite nervous, but this time had some high hopes. I did not ask for anything specific. I just asked the surgeon to give me a nice nose. I woke up in severe pain again and was hoping that this time I did not have another infection. Everything seemed to go smoothly this time, despite the pain. The first thing I noticed was that the stitching looked immaculate. It was so perfect I could not even see the join. I spent some time with my mum in Turkey before having my cast removed. I returned home and was asked to remove the tape by myself 2 weeks later. When I did, I was horrified at what I saw. My nose looked so huge and really square, Gradually, over time, the swelling went down. But then, my nose looked very pointy. I didn't even recognise myself anymore. I felt sick to my stomach that I'd made yet another mistake. So I decided to put the tape back on and tried not to look at myself for a few months. I refused to go anywhere unless my nose was taped up. It became almost a phobia of mine to be exposed in public without having the tape on. My mum was so fed up of me being constantly down, so she convinced me to remove the tape and get back to work. But then I noticed the dent from previous surgery was still visible. I took my mum's advice and accepted the next job which came in. I had a lot of compliments from the makeup artist, so initially I felt quite confident. But as soon as the photographer showed me some images, I was speechless as to how I looked. I felt like I was looking at a stranger, and in some photos, my nose looked like it had been chopped off. I lost my confidence, and I was really miserable the whole day. They ended up being published in a bridal magazine, and I really dreaded people seeing them. I just couldn't bear the way I looked. There was no way I could face going to work again. My identity was completely gone. I bandaged up my nose and spent the rest of my time in bed, sleeping the days away. It got to the stage where I couldn't see any point to life anymore. I was really unhappy and knew there was no way I could ever go back to my original nose again. I even missed having my broken nose. It was by pure accident one day that I came across London cosmetic surgeon on Instagram. The page caught my eye and had so many videos related to non-surgical rhinoplasty. The thing that most attracted me was that there were videos, so I knew they couldn't be photoshopped, like you often get on surgeons' pages with photos. I spent quite a while researching and was mesmerised by Dr. Deniz and his work. The way he was able to do non-surgical nose procedures was so impressive, and I spent a long time watching his videos each day. After a few months, I eventually plucked up the courage to message him, and was pleasantly surprised by his quick responses. I booked in my consultation, and my mum came along with me for support. Dr. Deniz explained everything in full detail, including the risks and benefits of having the fillers instead of surgery. Due to the fact I've had multiple rhinoplasties, he had to do the fillers in stages to reduce the risk of complications. Dr. Deniz explained by having filler along the bridge would create a light reflection, giving an appearance of a slimmer nose. I was overwhelmed by the instant results. I was told to keep massaging my nose and check the blood supply. Fortunately, there were no complications, so a couple of weeks later, I booked in for my top-up. I didn't think my nose could look any better than the first time, but it seemed to have improved even more so. I was extremely happy, and every time I looked in the mirror, I could recognise myself again. I was so glad I could finally go back out in public and take photos of myself with no tape on my nose. It was finally Halloween, my favourite time of year, and I was due to have my last top-up of nose filler. I had a small amount of filler added along the bridge and a tiny bit on the tip. I couldn't believe such a small amount made a huge difference. I instantly felt like the old me again. I was so excited to get back to modelling and loved how I looked in photos. It's now been 1 year since I've had nose filler with Dr. Deniz Kanliada, and I'm so impressed with the results. I decided to wait before leaving a review, just in case I was not happy with the nose filler. I was made aware that the filler might not last for too long due to my multiple surgeries, so I did not have high expectations. However, my nose still looks amazing after 1 year. I've only just noticed the fillers starting to fade. Every time I get fillers, there will always be a risk. But Dr. Deniz is very careful and does it in stages. Because of my previous surgeries, the lymphatic system is less than before, so it's much safer to wait and see how everything settles after 2 to 3 weeks. Dr. Deniz Kanliada has not only given back my ethnic identity, he has saved my life in so many ways.